So you need to activate the screen sharing because I cannot.
Yes, I check now. Check it now.
Yes. Yes. So I just try some. You see the screen. It's working.
Yes, it's loading.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Because I also have some video into the presentation. I don't know how it looks, but let's see.
Okay.
I don't know. So yeah, I will start now. Or you want to?
I want to present you. It's okay.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks to Federico Nichnik who have the idea to invite to organize this lecture, and to Cristina Gonzalo Nogués from Gonzalo Neri Weck Architects who put us in touch with you, and to the Cathedra Diegues, Tristan Dieguez, who helped us to develop the lecture, and finally to Agustina Alaines, who is going to translate the lecture to Spanish. Olivier Campagne is architect and 3D visual artist based in Paris, specialized in architecture, image, and films. He is co-founder and partner of Artefactorylab since 2009. Olivier and Artefactorylab works closely with many French and international architects to whom we follow and deeply study their work in our studio, such as Muoto, Bruder, Bunkhaus, Gonzalo Neri Weck, Arrow Freak, E2A, Christian Querez, Hans Kinsbergen, Bachner Brandler, and others. Olivier is also giving workshops on constructing 3D image since 2019 at ETH Zurich at Alexander Deilot Studio. We are very interested in close collaboration between architects and photographers produced along century 20 in the conception of the visual construction of the architecture. Nowadays, maybe this collaboration is moving to the field of virtual visual construction. I like the term visual construction because we are interested in focus on the cultural significance of architectural and construction technologies and its value in the definition of architectural form. So we look forward with great expectation to hearing from you on the subject of the 999 cameras. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you very much to inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my work. So I'm Olivier Campagne. As you say, I'm associate at Artefactorylab in Paris. And so I will present to you some of the image I've been working on, and also together with some something I found important in this field is experimentation. And so I have been doing this really small experimentation in computer rendering. So I have a scientific background, and I wanted to conduct a small experiment. It's all started with a paradox. There is an infinite number of images, but since computer images are made of pixels, there should be a finite number of possibilities. And the idea was to see unseen and unexpected image in this finite set. But let you maybe translate this part.
Thank you, Olivier. Bueno, para todos, nada, Oliver está diciendo que él tiene un background científico, que tiene una formación científica, entonces para él es muy importante el concepto de la experimentación y le gusta aplicar esta idea, esta paradoja al renderizado por computadora que trabaja con píxeles, entonces empieza a tener como resultados esperados o inesperados.
Una cola de bebé, cara de cola de bebé.
Jessica, ¿puedes ponerte en mute?
Ay, Dios, perdón.
Bueno, ahí estamos. Bueno, pero sí, eso es solamente la introducción de cómo ellos se enfrentan, digamos, cuál es su actitud frente al renderizado que tiene que ver con la experimentación. Thank you, Oliver.
So the question is how many? That's the question. This paradox. How many image can we make? So it's somehow related to this. I found this this infinite monkey theorem. It's called. It's like it's said that a monkey eating keys at random on typewriter keyboard for an infinite amount of time will almost surely type any given text, such as the complete works of William Shakespeare. Sounds strange, but that's actually something we can calculate. We all heard about AI algorithm, and in this algorithm there is a crazy amount of data, a data set of images. And as for example, the something has been conducted by the MIT, which is the MIT Adobe 5K dataset. It's a collection of 5,000 photographs that students try to analyze, and they, in a way, they construct a data set of particularity into these images, and they built this quite huge image set. And we are also very far from the Google store. We are very far from the Google image store, which is about 10 billion images. So I let you translate.
Es una clase en render de los Campagne.
Chicos, perdón, podemos poner Francisco, Facundo, Cristian no están en mute y se interrumpe la charla. Bueno, sí, lo que está planteando Oliver tiene que ver con plantearse qué número de imágenes puede realizar una computadora, ¿no? Teniendo en cuenta esto de la experimentación que él planteaba antes y el renderizado por computadora. Entonces mencionó el teorema infinito del mono, que dice que tiene que ver, espera que estoy leyendo porque lo leyó muy rápido. Bueno, dice que el mono va como tipeando así como random en un teclado, y que en un momento va de una manera random a generar un texto. Entonces que eso tiene que ver con la manera en la que trabaja un poco la computadora, con los algoritmos, con la inteligencia artificial, que son cosas que todos estamos viendo mucho ahora, y que básicamente es infinito lo que puede generar, que depende del database que uno tenga, que menciona acá, bueno, la diferencia entre lo que trabaja Google, lo que tiene uno. Si leen acá, bueno, están mencionando Adobe Lightroom, como distintas maneras de trabajar con esa data para después generar imágenes nuevas.
So if we so that's the formula, which is telling how many image we can create with a certain amount of pixels. So yeah, that's here. And if we start with just a small example, I just wanted to have a scope of this, an idea of this amount. And if we start with a small image, 5 by 5, that's a small, really tiny image, and we get this number, 33 million images. So I run a script to see, okay, I wanted to see this 33 million images. So that's the result. That's the 33 million icons you can create, and they all sort by from black to white. And if you zoom in a bit, you see a bit. That's all the possibility, and in there you can see all letters from the alphabet. All kind of icons are here. Yes.
Bueno, acá Olivier está presentando un tema como de posibilidades, ¿no? Volviendo a esto de cuántas imágenes podemos hacer en base a cuál es la data que tenemos para generarlas. Entonces empieza a hablar del coding y el scripting, o sea, básicamente programación, y da un ejemplo de que si empezamos con una pequeña imagen de 5x5 píxeles, tenemos 33 millones y medio de imágenes posibles según las combinaciones. Él mostraba así como unos ¿cómo se dice? Bueno, pasaje de negro a blanco, y acaba, bueno, aumentando eso, ¿no? Lo que está planteando tiene que ver como con el input que uno recibe, el proceso que hace el código y todas las diferentes posibilidades de imágenes que tenemos a partir de ese input.
So while I was doing this, I discovered that this kind of algorithm was maybe used in the to create images when pioneers start exploring computer images. That was one of the first computer images was actually painted on paper. It was printed, and there was an algorithm writing letters on the paper. So R for red, blue, and this was done in 1970. Sorry. So that's kind of images they were doing. So if we increase this number, so that's another example. If we increase this number to 6 by 6, it's already reaching 68 billion. And I say, okay, what could be how far can we go? And I say, okay, that's what's the biggest number we can imagine? Maybe it's the number of atoms in the universe. It's 10 to the power of 81. How many images is it? This? What's the size of the image we can do? And we can actually create a 12 by 12 pixel image with 4 colors. So, and you will have the 10 to the power of 81 images you can create with this set. So here is the Mona Lisa. Let me see. I don't know why it's not working. Why? Sorry. Ooh, sorry, a small technical problem. Oh, we reload. Sorry, it's first time. I'm sorry. So maybe, yeah, okay. So I'm just going back to the page. Yeah, so that's a 12 by 12 pixel image in 4 color of the Mona Lisa, just to get an idea of. So you just translate this.
Well, basically, he keeps. Perdón, lo tengo que hacer en español. Bueno, lo que está diciendo ahora Oliver mostró un ejemplo de computadoras generadas por imágenes del 1970, del grupo de arte informático de Vincennes, donde empieza a mostrar las variaciones de color también, ¿no? Y sigue avanzando con los números de píxeles y las muchísimas posibilidades que eso genera. Por ejemplo, antes, bueno, nombrábamos el 5x5, ahora dice que simplemente saltando a 6x6, las posibilidades ya son de 68 billones de tipos de imágenes, de variables, ¿no? Y él lo que se pregunta es cuál es el número mayor, hasta dónde puede llegar esto, y hace una especulación de que podría tal vez ser hasta el número de átomos en el universo, ¿no? Y ahora está presentando esta variación de la Mona Lisa, que es una versión pixelada, obviamente, de 12 por 12 píxeles con 4 colores.
So this way of exploring all possibilities and approaching image creation is something I have experimented with a few times through a project. So trying to scope all possibilities is really about accumulating, testing, and it's also about randomness and something that computer have a difficulty to give, which is error and accident. And by essence, computer doesn't make a calculus mistake. So it's really a way to approach, in fact, real photography where you cannot control all. So that was the starting point, and that's why I had the idea to make this 999 camera, random camera. So I will explain you right now what's it all about. So it's all started with this project from Reuter and Baukunst, and so it's in Zurich. So instead of trying to look for a regular framing by moving inside the space, I say, what about launching a random camera and just see what the computer gave me. It was maybe I could see some unexpected framing. So, yeah.
Bueno, acá Oliver está presentando, bueno, sigue desarrollando esta idea de cuántas posibilidades, ¿no? De cuántas imágenes son posibles. Dice que esto tiene mucho que ver con resultados random y con testeos continuos que uno va haciendo con la computadora, que es la herramienta que uno usa para este desarrollo. Y dice que también son interesantes los momentos en los que las computadoras dan errores o accidentes, que es algo en teoría difícil para una computadora. Pero bueno, que uno básicamente no puede controlar todo. Y empieza a presentar este proyecto de él que se llama Framing, 999 cámaras, que está basado en un proyecto en Zurich que se llama Brothermas Baukost, donde ellos empiezan a colocar muchas cámaras en este proyecto y empiezan a recibir como imágenes inesperadas por esto del randomness, ¿no? Donde uno libera un poco el control y ve que devuelve la computadora.
Sorry, Olivier, the random in these cameras is made by the computer, or you move the position random of these cameras?
No, it's just random numbers from the computer. I mean, I just let's say put a boundary, but it's completely random position. So that's the. I could have been more crazy than that. I could have. I mean, I put randomness in the position, rotation, and also in the focal length, and I could have been playing on other parameters. But that's the result here. You see all the framings, and yes.
Sí, Ignacio preguntaba si es totalmente random la posición de las cámaras o si Olivier le da algunos parámetros. Dice que da unos parámetros mínimos, pero que básicamente es todo absolutamente random y que la creatividad, digamos, es de la computadora.
And I say, okay, I have this 1,000 camera, and I wanted somehow to sort them. And I say, what about because they were all saved as JPEG, so I said maybe let's sort the image by file size, because if JPEG is, if it's a small file, means that the complexity of the image is simple, and if the size is big, the complexity of the image is bigger. So I sort the image by file size, and that's the repartition somehow. That's a bit strange that you see that there is in a way, this kind of average somewhere of complexity in the image. There is less complex in it and less yeah. It's interesting to see that. So that's actually the poster I give you. It's like this is like the old 909 camera, and all sorted by complexity, let's say. So you see the first one is the dark one that probably was in a wall, and then the first one was looking at the landscape, which is kind of flat, and then this one should be the most complex visual image.
Bueno, acá Olivier está hablando como de una vez recuperadas todas esas imágenes generadas por este randomness de la computadora, cómo organizar esas imágenes fue un poco el desafío, y que finalmente este cuadro lo que está representando es que dependía del peso de los archivos de los JPGs, del tamaño de esos archivos, porque después había muchas variables en cuanto a la complejidad de esas imágenes, y es una relación entre la complejidad y el tamaño. Y la imagen siguiente que le estaba mostrando mostraba un poco la complejidad, empezando por cuadros negros y después un poco de paisaje, y cómo eso después va avanzando a imágenes mucho más complejas.
And in this I went through all the 1,000 camera, because at the end the idea was select a few viewpoints. So I went, I made I went through all the 1,000 and I made a selection. That's the selection I made from the set. And so here are some few selected image. And so here are some of them. And I immediately saw that there was quite some image with this ID where the column was in the center. So I found it interesting this because I mean I didn't really thought about it when I was looking at the place. So there was quite a few like this where the column is exactly in the center. And here is another way to sort the image. It's by color, and you almost see it's almost telling something about the architecture. Here, it's when you see this. I mean, yeah, you kind of see the relation with what you see in the image and with the space somehow. And to go a bit further, it's something I want to see if it's possible to do. Is like you have this 1,000 image set, and I was wondering if you combine this with some image reference and some criteria. Probably algorithm can give you some selection according to the criteria and the reference. Yeah, just maybe translate this part.
Sure. Bueno, lo que sigue planteando es como que él tenía estas 1000 cámaras, que las revisó todas, primero él humanamente, digamos, y que seleccionó las que más le interesaban, que estas que tenían la columna en el medio fueron como una sorpresa, que a él no se le hubiese ocurrido tomar esas imágenes, pero que resultaron ser muy interesantes. Después habló de otra posible manera de organizarlas, que era por color, esta manera de organizarlas hablaba de la arquitectura, esta es la imagen que corresponde, hablaba de la arquitectura y del espacio y que daba resultados también muy interesantes, inesperados. Y después, yendo un poco más lejos, empieza a reincorporar el algoritmo y dice que cómo podría el algoritmo, el aprendizaje a través de la computadora, lo que se llama el machine learning, trabajar con imágenes de referencia para generar nuevas selecciones, pero ahora sí dejándolo en mano puramente al algoritmo y no a través de una selección humana hecha por él mismo.
So this way of dealing with photography, I mean framing, it's something I did with another project for Baukunst. So that was the project, a small observatory on the beach. It's a rock. They were designing this, and Maxime Delvaux, which is a photographer, is usually working a lot with Baukunst. I also been working a lot with him. He went on site and took all these images on the beach where the object was supposed to stand. And I mean, the usual approach would have been to pick few of them, trying to imagine where the object will be and how big it was. And I say, what about taking all these images and try to put the project in there? So it was quite a big task to do. So I say, okay, let's do it. And so I actually I created an animated camera with a 3D model and matching each picture. So that's all the 70 frames, and this is that's the result of all the 70 image with every time the object sitting inside. So it was a way to see to really make a selection, to see the project there and to have all the possibilities there. And that was the final selected image. So there was 3 I think, yeah, 2 or 3 images done for the project. Yeah, just
Bueno, en este proyecto que se llama Baukunst, la manera de proceder, tenían que realizar un observatorio en la playa y el fotógrafo Maxime Delvaux, perdón la pronunciación, tomó 71 fotografías del sitio previo a intervenirlo, obviamente. Entonces la pregunta era dónde iba a estar este objeto, esta especie de roca que veíamos recién. Lo que hicieron fue usar todas esas imágenes, digitalizarlas de alguna manera, realizaron cámaras animadas en el modelo 3D, donde ubicaron esas cámaras exactamente donde estaba la cámara real del fotógrafo, y después ubicaron el objeto en cada uno de esos 71 cuadros en forma digital para ver realmente cómo quedaría en esas 71 fotografías, y después, bueno, decidieron, hubo algunas seleccionadas que son las que mostraba al final, donde sí se ve el objeto exacto, donde se ve el objeto posado en la fotografía que había tomado el fotógrafo, pero con todo el estudio digital previo.
So, as you can see, you use extensively a lot of photography, and and I wanted to come back to this image that was made for a competition back in 2013, so almost 10 years ago. And I think that was maybe the starting point where we realized the strengths of photography within our work. And so it's really about mixing approaches, and let's say traditional photography and computer rendering. And somehow we are doing some kind of computer photography, and of course we use a traditional way of making images, but I'm really now approaching computer images like a photographer will do, and so we get all inspiration from a famous architect, from his photographers Maxime Delvaux or Henri Gardiner. So, and by the way, that's the competition was won, and that's the construction site of the building. It's not the final state, but that's I find it quite funny to see both images. So let's translate this part.
Bueno, ahora está mostrando este otro proyecto que es un concurso que ganaron, se llama Router, algo similar, o Brother, no sé, que ganaron en 2013, y era un poco, sigue sobre la reflexión del uso de la fotografía como punto inicial para comenzar un proyecto. Dice que ellos trabajan, a su vez, a pesar de todo lo que mostrábamos recién, de la experimentación, que también trabajan sobre el modo tradicional de crear imágenes, y que esto se relaciona mucho con la fotografía. Entonces para ellos es una fuente de inspiración y de comienzo de proyecto que les brinda muchas posibilidades y mucha fuerza al proyecto.
So that this is more recent project for GNAA. I will give you some other example here of this link with photography and yeah, this relation with photography. And so when I explain it, when the photographer go on site, he give us a lot of photo. We can use the first method, but when we don't have the photography, we use a lot of it to create a virtual set where we can actually frame the photographer there. So that's an example of a project. So really put a virtual camera there and try to shoot and to to the site as the photographer will do. And I show you here some example of the combination of work with photography and renderings. So that's the before and after, let's say, result. So for this project of Reuter Baukunst. And another example here. And this image were actually created after the competition. They actually also won the competition. They are right now building the project. And I remember I went after the competition. I went through all the images that the photographer they took, and I say, oh yeah, I really spot some nice viewpoint that unfortunately we didn't choose for competition because it was too much focused on the project. And I think now things are changing now. But for example, the view on this view, it's since you don't see a lot of the project, it's not, maybe it was not really appealing, but and it's easy to say that after you did it as the problem. And once it's done, okay, that's a nice image, but before it's a bit difficult to imagine. So I was really going through all the photography that was given. I spent some time putting the project inside this photography, and ironically, this image were more communicate than the actual image from the competition. You can translate this.
Sí, bueno, después está hablando de la otra posibilidad, de la otra metodología de trabajo que ellos manejan, que cuando no pueden enviar un fotógrafo al sitio, trabajan con capturas de Google, que las mostraba acá, sí, exactamente esta. You're great at showing the images I'm actually translating about. Thank you so much. No, le agradecía que muestre la imagen perfecta de lo que estoy recuperando. Bueno, y entonces quedan como estas imágenes virtuales con cámaras virtuales para poder tomar las mismas fotos que tomaría un fotógrafo si hubiese tenido la posibilidad de ir al sitio. Y después está mostrando algunas imágenes del before and after, del antes y el después, de lo que era el render y de lo que es el proyecto una vez que se está construyendo, y cómo son las diferencias, que a veces no es tan fácil previsualizar algunas cosas y la foto se vuelve más interesante que el render o viceversa, y muestra algunos casos de esto.
Yeah, and when I see this image again, I remember that this for sure was not something you can shoot for a competition because of the foreground. But that's probably the thing I like in my work, is like trying to get things natural and don't have suspicion on if it's there or not. So it's really trying to see the project there. So and the foreground here helps a bit to believe in that. So if I come back to the other example, so here also another competition where
when you work with photography, do you have some photographers that you usually work, or you yourself take the photos, or do you collaborate with photographers regularly or not?
Yes, when for example like Maxime Delvaux is working a lot with Baukunst, so these images were initially done with Maxime, and so with them it's a lot of image from Maxime. But and whenever, if we can take the image, if it's let's say in Paris, or we can travel a bit, then we go and take the images. Probably so it's also a great solution. But I like also to have some photographer giving me some image, because they have another look. I mean, they have another input. So then
Ignacio,
there.
Ignacio preguntaba sobre la fotografía o si toman las imágenes ellos mismos. Y Olivier dice que la verdad que ambos casos, que trabajan mucho con Maxime Delvaux, que era el que veíamos, el fotógrafo que nombraba para el proyecto anterior, el observatorio, pero que también si pueden ellos mismos ahí ir a tomar la foto porque quedan en París o cerca lo hacen, pero que le gusta mucho trabajar con otros fotógrafos porque proponen otro punto de vista que por ahí a ellos no les hubiese surgido.
So that's another photo where here there was extensive, like a lot of retouch to make to erase the white stuff there. There was a reconstruction to do there, but quite a lot of work.
Sí, ahí tuvieron que retocar la imagen para sacar cosas que no les servían.
And here, what you don't see is like that's the final image, but like so that's a drone photography, and I really ask the guy there, the drone, to really take a lot of shots. So I use the same technique, like, okay, let's insert the project in the 70, 80 photos. So with the experience, you get it quickly, but I really have this, because you get this amount of image, and you don't want to lose anything. So okay, let's do all the insertion there, and then let's pick the best one. A bit like a photographer will do, and you need to see the full set and then choose.
Sí, acá están mencionando que también trabajan con fotografías de drones y que le pide a quien maneja el drone que tome la mayor posibilidad de fotografías posibles y eligen la mejor toma como hubiese hecho un fotógrafo.
And here it's the same before and after, but this time with a video. And yeah, a little. I don't know if you see it's maybe not super smooth, but you see probably some things moving, some people moving. You see, yeah. And here I personally took the film. It's actually in Paris, in the Louvre, and I like also when it's possible to almost think about the final image while shooting. So that's probably the difference with the photographer. I mean, here, for example, I saw the shadow there on the ground, which is the shadow of a tower on the left of the Louvre, and I say, okay, that could be the shadow of my project. So and that's the way I did it, and that's because otherwise, if there was no shadow or things like this, like the people passing in the shadow and in the sun would have been possible to compose it or to do. So that was a fast composition work just by planning a bit ahead what's the frame I will face when I will insert the project. So that's something I really try to do every time when I do photography. You have to almost think about the Photoshop somehow while shooting.
Bueno, en este caso está mostrando el antes y después de la imagen, esta vez con animación, con un video, vemos las personas moviéndose. Lo que está diciendo es que él suele pensar en la imagen final mientras está trabajando en la imagen, que tal vez es lo contrario a la metodología de un fotógrafo, que en este caso tenían la sombra que se ve hasta la mitad de la imagen en el primer caso del edificio, y él quiso trabajar con esa sombra y dijo, bueno, que esa misma sombra preexistente sea la sombra de mi proyecto, y que eso tuvo que ver también con algunas cuestiones técnicas que resolvía tener a la gente pasando como de una sombra preexistente al lugar donde hay sol en la segunda parte de la imagen, y que bueno, que eso tiene también mucho que ver que uno está todo el tiempo pensando como en el Photoshop, en la edición de la imagen mientras la hace.
Okay. Yeah, again, the same problem. Sorry. So let me yeah. So the now if I talk about lighting, like I use the same kind of way of thinking while doing lighting. Will explain you is all the 3D thing we are using. They are all lit with it's called HDRI. So it's actually an image that lit the 3D like this one. So it's a 360-degree image. And when we don't have photography from a photographer, or if we cannot go on site, so we try to build some stuff in 3D around the project, and then we can. Then the advantage is that we are a bit more freely. It's more, there is more freedom on the light. So it's a bit the same as the framing. I render a lot of possibilities, a lot of possible lighting. So that's different technical stuff, but like you can render like, let's say 4 different lights per frame, or 30 different lights per on the same framing. So I apply this on this project for Bruteur in Marseille. So here, a fixed viewpoint with different lighting condition, I render at the same time, and I run it to all the selected views with different lighting, and in a way that's also a way to select and go through all the possible stuff. I mean, it's not all the possibility, but I give you more freedom to choose and in which direction you want to go. It's really what's the aim of that.
Bueno, acá Olivier está explicando que trabaja mucho con lo que se llama el HDRI, y que cuando ellos están componiendo estas imágenes, que tal vez no tienen imágenes de un fotógrafo para iniciar, ponen distintos objetos en escena y trabajan, bueno, mostraba cuestiones un poco técnicas, pero que bueno, que hacen muchas pruebas con distintos tipos de luces para estudiar las posibilidades.
So it's something here for this project of Viteos with the GNWA. I also combine both way, which is trying to multiply the framing possibilities and the lighting. So there was 3 views to do, and that's the first step in the process where you kind of look for the framing as well as changing lighting slightly between each framing. So that's the three views, and then and that's the second step, refining and discussing with the discussion with the architect. So I mean, this time I send to the team all the architect all these images, so he has also the possibility to really choose with. It's really a discussion together, like where we want to go and what kind of light, what do we want to see on the framing, and how can we adjust that. So that's why there is like some slight difference here. You see like a bit more close, a bit more far. And there was more discussion on the interior. There was more test. Both me and them were not sure about what we wanted to show there. And this, I mean, only this one was quite evident in the first set. This one is strike, and say, okay, let's choose this one. So finally, that was the 3 views chosen, and with the more refinement, now we can go deeper into the detail and start defining texture and background and reflection. So that's the final images, and I just show you them in big. So that's, you can translate it. We have all the steps there.
Perfect, thank you. Bueno, acá está. ¿Ibas a decir algo, Ignacio?
No, later, después.
Ok. Bueno, acá está hablando de la relación entre el encuadre y las luces y plantea cuatro pasos en los que él trabaja con el cliente. El primero en el que muestra muchas posibilidades de encuadre y de luz y dice que se las muestra todas al arquitecto para poder discutir a ver qué es lo que están buscando, qué es lo que quieren mostrar. En el segundo paso sucede como esta pequeña discusión con el arquitecto y empiezan a haber variaciones más pequeñas porque ya hubo como una subselección de las muchas imágenes del paso 1. También suelen empezar a trabajar más con los interiores, tratando de decidir qué mostrar. Y en el paso 3 ya hay una selección mucho más acotada, lo que les permite llegar al paso 4, que es el paso del refinamiento, donde dice que empiezan a aplicar texturas, imágenes por detrás, trabajan con los reflejos, con los detalles, y así llegan a las imágenes finales con este esquema de estos 4 pasos.
How much time take this process?
I mean, usually like competition is 2 weeks. So yeah, I think we spend 2 weeks on the project there.
Okay.
So it's full time work.
Ignacio preguntaba cuánto lleva el proceso, dice que son 2 semanas normalmente de trabajo intenso.
And the last part I want to show you is like about all the question of materials and about capturing reality. And I always show this image from Maxime Delvaux, where so it's an actual photo, but as I see, what I see here is like mainly what's most difficult to do in computer graphics. It's texture. It's like here there is no light, no really light direction. It's like diffuse lighting. There is no contrast really from the light. It's all about texture, and that's probably the most difficult things to do in 3D. And so that's why that's something really we want to push. And I give you an example of what's happening when you on the far left. It's what looks how a simple structure looks with some procedural tile texture of concrete, and in the middle that's the same object but with texture applied, which are locked somehow to the geometry. So that means that you see the dirt on the bottom is really there at the corner of the wall, and that's already more realistic. And here is the same model, but I shift the texture just to explain you that the texture is linked to the geometry, and that means you need to almost make a texture per face somehow.
Sí, acá está explicando un poco los métodos y las herramientas que ellos tienen para capturar la realidad en relación a los materiales y a las texturas en 3D, que cuando uno tiene un objeto 3D no tiene inicialmente texturas y que ellos generan un link entre la geometría y las texturas. Acá mostraba un ejemplo de las texturas de una foto de Maxime Delvaux, este fotógrafo con el que trabajan mucho, y cómo ellos tratan de recrear esas relaciones entre la geometría y la textura. Y en los 3 ejemplos que mostraba, primero mostraba el objeto con una textura no específica, digamos, en relación a su geometría, después cómo empieza a generar ese link en la imagen del medio, donde la textura y la geometría están relacionadas y se ve como esa suciedad, digamos, en la base de esos tabiques de hormigón y la relación de las juntas con las geometrías. Y en la tercera, solo para mostrarles que subió, que movió, digamos, esa textura y cómo empieza, cómo la segunda funciona mejor, digamos, solo para mostrar.
And I mean, to realize this, I say the best would be to photograph real concrete. So we went there. I knew there was this building from Kyoto. It's completely full of concrete, but like let's say fresh concrete from few years ago, and so we photographed the building completely, and then and extract texture from this concrete. So here is a stitch concrete wall texture. So, and this texture is later used to wrap around 3D walls, and at least you have there really all the details, and you have but this needs to be linked to the wall. I mean, this cannot be moved to the top. It's really this should be at the bottom of the geometry, otherwise it doesn't work, of course.
This is a question. You create your own textures sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I realized doing that is like we are using a lot of concrete texture, so it's probably the most used texture. So yeah, that's something we try. Yes, exactly.
Bueno, dice que a veces
Yes.
No, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
No, solo que a veces van a los edificios y toman ellos mismos fotos, en este caso del hormigón de los edificios, y transforman esas imágenes y todos esos detalles que toman de la vida real en texturas que ellos usan después en sus renders, que son texturas propias. Y lo mismo, ¿no? Que tiene que estar, la suciedad de esa foto que él mostraba tiene que estar relacionada con el objeto y no puede moverse.
And so there is even like a material I created for when you create a slab, concrete slab in 3D, there will be automatically apply a texture on the floor, one on the edge with the leaking, and on the one from the ceiling. So you get somehow automatically this kind of going back, this kind of stuff there is coming together when every time you draw a box in 3D. Another used material we use a lot, which is of course glass. So there is different type of glass, but also something really to approach a natural look is glass is not made of a single reflection. It's usually multiple surface and multiple double glazing, etc. So you have multiple reflecting surface. So it's something that we recreate. Like if you look at the tree there, they are all double, even triple the reflection, and even with distortion, because glass is not completely flat, so you get this kind of moire effect sometimes with repeating texture. So that's something we implement in the image that really get the natural look for the glass.
Bueno, acá está comentando que ellos trabajan obviamente mucho también con vidrio en los edificios que proponen, y que para conseguir un efecto natural y que se vea realista, lo importante es tener en cuenta que un vidrio tiene múltiples reflejos de distintos objetos y superficies que se están viendo reflejadas en esa superficie, y a su vez también trabajan con distorsión, porque el vidrio no es perfectamente plano y que a veces les genera como un efecto moiré que estamos viendo en esta imagen.
So that was for this project for Bruder again. Other example of glass, some depth of field there are used in the rendering. And just show you again the same project where glass is rendered.
To get the effect, you construct the environment with image or with modeling.
Yeah, for this kind of project, it's I mean, always go to the simple stuff, which is just use a background from an image. I mean, it's not you don't need to model anything there because the reflection is usually completely dark. I mean, you don't see any details. So sometimes we even use the Google capture as a reflection. I will show you later a project where the reflection in the glass is actually from the Google capture, because since there is no there is a distortion and a doubling effect, you don't even see it. So it's okay, you don't need to. Here you see this darker glass with also some distortion there, fine distortion. And other types here which is the ETFE, and here you need to bring a little more detail in the texture, and like these ripples, and so this was also done. It's not actually model; it's like bump mapping, and it also same idea. Trying to go really into the detail, and having even I think I invented that. I mean, I don't even know if it's the way it's done, but there's this kind of joint. So you see, I think I saw it here. I mean, we always use anyway a reference to. It's not like things we invent, but it's. I mean, this kind of details for sure add understanding of the volume of the volumetry of the cushion. Yes.
Sí, Ignacio estaba recién preguntando si usaban para generar esos reflejos, si modelaban los objetos que se ven reflejados en el vidrio, o si usan imágenes. Olivier decían que normalmente usan imágenes y que a veces simplemente usan la captura de Google, que igual como los reflejos no tienen mucho detalle, funciona perfecto. Y ahora estaba mencionando cuestiones como arrugas, uniones, en materiales transparentes, que ese nivel de detalle ayuda al entendimiento de la imagen y a la realidad, digamos.
And here another project from Reuter, like it's kind of a cushion. Also here it was not done ETFE, but I think glass, blowing glass, kind of, and it was hard surface, and since the glass is already there in our library, every project is a pretext to go a bit more far. And here I wanted to add some not condensation, but like drops. I mean, you see like raining kind of effect you get on the glass when it's not entirely clean, or when it's just stop raining. So here are some examples. And you also see that we really push the detail of the framings. So I see some mistake, and another view, sorry, with also this same material apply there. Yes.
Sí, acá está mostrando más detalles que siguen agregando realidad a sus imágenes en este tipo de almohadones hechos de vidrio. Dice que cada proyecto es una excusa para ir más lejos y seguir agregando más realismo. En este caso menciona la lluvia y las gotas de agua sobre el material, y que siguieron agregándole detalle, aún más detalle a sus marcos.
And about this project, I can tell you that I remember, like, I mean, when I work with Brüter, they never really never model the project. They're only working. They are drawing just a section and plan in AutoCAD, and so for this small project, I remember I really had to even solve some mechanical issue. Let's say, like, okay, that's opening doors, but what I don't have the space in between the columns, so I have to remember that it's a bit tricky, and that's often happening and even during the competition. I mean, that was a competition. That was a 2 weeks and a half of work there, and you have also to resolve this kind of issue. Otherwise, the image doesn't work. I mean, it's not, and they don't solve this issue while designing. It's too early for the project. But we have, because we go really far. I mean, we try to go really far in the detail. Then we need to resolve a bit of this issue. And while looking at the image, I realized that there is some a mistake in the model, like impossible stuff, but if you want to translate it.
Yeah, so in this case, you just get the 2D drawings and you model everything yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Bueno, está mencionando que en el caso de Bruce, este estudio con el que trabajan, que ellos trabajan en AutoCAD y lo que les dan son las plantas, los cortes, las vistas de la imagen, que ellos hacen el modelo 3D, que estas imágenes también son para concursos, competiciones, y que más o menos tienen 2 semanas de trabajo y que ellos a veces necesitan ir más lejos de lo que el arquitecto está llegando en ese momento de concurso, donde todo está un poco más relacionado a la idea, pero que como ellos necesitan imágenes realmente realistas, ellos llevan más lejos la resolución de alguno de los proyectos que tal vez carecen de estructura o de detalles técnicos como los que estamos viendo acá.
So another view of the same project. So if we go a bit beyond like every like natural stuff or like rocks and stuff, they are also all either modeled or scanned. Scanned. So for example, we use extensive use of this Quixel mega scan library. It's like things you buy online. So they are like they use photogrammetry to scan rocks and natural elements. So we use a lot of that. And for example, this wall was done with a patch of all the scanned rocks. So at the end, could be a quite heavy model. And also with tree. So that's some tree. That's actually someone in the office model. The trunk and things like this were scanned through photogrammetry. Yeah, just translate this part and then...
Sí, está mencionando la relación entre la simulación y la naturaleza y menciona 2 casos, el de las rocas y el de los árboles, que ellos, en el caso de las rocas, las imágenes que mostraba, usan una librería que se llama Quixel Megascan, que puede hacer que el modelo se vuelva muy pesado porque la textura de esas rocas son de hecho scannings del mundo real. Y en el caso de los árboles, decía que es que en el estudio mismo, en Artefactory, ellos directamente modelaron el árbol que a su vez fue escaneado. Entonces que esto le agrega detalles muy realistas a las imágenes.
And something I've been experimenting also in a really very recent project is for this competition in Paris for Myoto. But I wanted to have like a curtain just behind the glass, and it was really part of the architecture. So we put a lot of effort doing that, and there was multiple tests in the way the curtain was designed, and so it was all run with cloth simulation. And it was quite heavy because the mesh at the end, because the cloth simulation software is used to make like shirts and stuff like this. So it's not designed to make like a 10-meter high curtain. So it was working, but I remember like zooming out was a problem because nobody zoom out from a t-shirt like from 10 meters away. So it was you can almost not see the entire curtain. And here just make a little parenthesis that's the reflection we are talking about with the Google capture, and if you don't know it, you don't really see it. So here is a close-up view of the same image with you see all the ripples and stuff. So every curtain is I think it was like 2 million polygons, because I wanted really to have all the details there. So I'm just going to show you another image. It's working. Just it's a bit nice.
Sí, en
So
este
if you
caso,
want to,
ya. En este caso está mostrando este concurso de moto, donde dijo que el desafío real fueron las cortinas atrás de ese vidrio y que, bueno, con la cuestión de la simulación, eso le llevó muchísimo detalle y muchísimas pruebas por el tamaño de esas cortinas y que cada cortina eran 2 millones de polígonos y este es como el nivel de detalle que ellos ofrecen. Y también mencionó uno de los reflejos de los que veníamos hablando antes en la misma.
and so that's the interior shot where I so put it was the fabric. There was a school, and they were also using fabric, so a bigger theme. So I said, okay, let's also simulate this kind of a piece of fabric there. I wanted to have also a very heavy fabric to have these big ripples. And I will show you so that another view. And they wanted to have this kind of theatrical effect on the facade. Yeah, this is, you see all the bit more the details, and there is even like folding lines there, or even almost like if the curtain was just new and fold there and attach. And I show you the way it was done, and actually it's crazy because you can almost work. Ooh, sorry, I don't know what's. Sorry. Mm-hmm. You can explain it, but that's the way the curtain and really design the way you want the ripples, I mean the physical object. So it's really exciting to work with because it's like you don't really control a lot. You just try to make to try to shape the curtain the way you want. But it's really exciting to work with that kind of stuff.
Bueno, acá está mostrando cómo funciona el software de simulación, donde dice que ellos en realidad no tienen tanto control, sino que lo que hacen es elegir unos puntos y moverlos, y que el software les devuelve todas estas opciones de cómo se vería la tela. Y antes estaba mencionando el efecto dramático que buscaban en las fachadas, la atención que ponen a los detalles, a las arrugas, a los dobleces, a las uniones, y por eso tiene todavía esas arrugas y estas cuestiones.
So every curtain was one single file and worked this way, and then exported and then inserted into the project like this way. Of course, I cannot work with all the curtains together, so working curtain by curtain and creating sets.
Dice que cada cortina era un archivo diferente dentro de este software de simulación y cada una después fue exportando al archivo 3D en la posición que les interesaba.
So another simulation we are doing here, it's not simulation we did actually, but that's something that could be simulated. And here it's just we took the result, which is the smoke, this effect and it's this for this project for David Klemmer in Switzerland, and that's really that's an actual 3D object render in the scene. It's really it's a volumetric object, and you can turn around, and that's and it grasp all the light, and you have all the shadow. So it's really something whenever there is a project with this kind of, we can instead of using it Photoshop, we just try to implement it in 3D to get all the detail and lighting effects.
Sí, acá está mencionando que otro tipo de simulación que hacen para este mismo niebla que se ve, y dice que no lo aplican en Photoshop, entonces no lo aplican dentro del modelo y de esa manera puedan relacionarse en la escena.
And something else here also about detail and mechanical parts in project. Sometimes you really need to go, even if you don't see the final animation in the image, of course, or in the film, you need to build the object the way they are actually designed, and you want to, you need to simulate some of the mechanical parts to make it work. That was for this project for Baukunst, this lifting roof, and things were designed this way actually work.
Y acá está diciendo que hace falta modelar realmente el objeto como es, incluso con sus partes mecánicas, y que si se mueve tiene que ser modelado de esa manera, aunque no vaya a percibirse en la imagen final, pero que se le otorga realismo a la imagen.
And something else about capturing reality is what we use a lot with photography. It's like a way to project the image onto geometry, so that's give you a bit more freedom on the movement of the camera. So you can, that's an example where it's a single image projected onto a simple geometry, and then you can actually walk around. I mean, walk inside the photo. You can change the viewpoint, really depending on the photo actually. But here it's, at some case it's working very well, and here it's I took an example where it's quite working well, and it's basically the something I've been using in this so it's already quite old but it's this one Paris underwater. So it's a vision of Paris completely with a 1 meter level of water in Paris, and I take multiple shots, and I insert water in every shots this way, and it was quite raw actually using this technique. And so I mean, this is something you can see on the website. Just show you some scene there. And it was done almost 12 years ago. And you even see some completely, that's funny, this part is already completely demolished and remodeled. It's a new project there, but like the project, which was, it's funny to see that like that doesn't exist anymore. So Centre Pompidou. Just maybe you can just explain it why it's playing.
Y acá está mostrando este proyecto que se llama París bajo el agua, que muestra a París con 1 metro de agua, y está hablando de la posibilidad de proyectar las imágenes en los objetos, entonces que esto permite ir cambiando el punto de vista, moverse dentro de la escena y que se vea totalmente realista. Y menciona que este proyecto lo pueden ver completo en su website.
So that's some stills from the movie there. And I show you just a bit behind the scene how it was done. So this first shot here, the street. So that's the actual shot from the street, and I wanted to add a little movement on it, like the opening shot. So I had to model a bit of the walls and the road, and I made this small camera move, and with this projection of the photo onto the geometry, I could basically, because it's a small movement, actually I can actually render the model with the projected image on it, and I basically add the water or the 3D object inside. So now that's the final shot. So it's so basically all the shots were created this way, like this one, the same. That's the original image, and there was a little construction of the 3D, trying to match things as possible, but and then that's the intersection of water with the geometry. And I didn't have to be so precise on the model, because at the end you don't see it. You don't really, you only see its reflection in the water, which is completely distorted, so you don't, so it's kind of it's invisible. If you want to explain a bit this.
Sí, acá está mostrando un poco del detrás de escena, de cómo fueron creados estas imágenes, estas animaciones. Lo que hacen es tener la foto original, construir un modelo 3D tratando de machear, de que coincidan los objetos principales con la foto original, y proyectan la imagen de la foto en ese modelo. Entonces eso les permite generar pequeños movimientos, y dice que después el agua, ese metro de agua que tienen todas estas imágenes, es un volumen que aparece también, está modelado en el 3D que existe, y genera la intersección entre ese plano de agua y los objetos que están importantes, los detalles, porque sobre todo es todo un trabajo de reflejos.
And in the very last part of the presentation is this very small experiment I thought doing. It's like, since we are using rendering software which are capturing light and simulating light, I thought, what about creating, is it working? Was the question, is it working to create a camera within the software? Is it possible to create a simple camera, like a camera obscura? So I try it. I say, okay, let's start with a small box here, and the projection surface and the lens. A tiny lens, could be a hole, but I need to be a bit more wide to get more light. And I put, that's the 3D camera looking at the projection surface. And I put this object in a 3D scene, and I look through the camera here and see what's happening there. Do you see something or not? And that was the image I saw, which is funny. It's like that's the actual image render through the within the environment of the rendering. It's not something you see through the camera. It's really the light is actually casting an image onto into the camera obscura.
Sí, acá estamos mostrando un experimento, un pequeño experimento que dice que quisieron ver una cámara oscura en un render. Acá muestra un esquema de cuál era el planteo que hicieron con la cámara, con el lente, la posición y la superficie que estaban capturando, 100% un render.
So that was the image, and I said, okay, let's so that's the section of the box where you see the outside 3D scene, lens, and you see, and I said, okay, let's go a bit further. Let's try to put aperture on it. Let's make a rig around so you can rotate the box everywhere. And I start to make some fine tuning on the focusing. So that's the render inside the box of some checker. And that's actually a rendering of the camera obscura of the project I was doing. And you get for free all the optical effects, which are the depth of field and all the vignetting effects. All this come within the rendering by itself because it's optically correct. Yeah, so you see.
Bueno, acá está mostrando más imágenes de este experimento con la cámara oscura. Una imagen que veíamos mostraba en corte la escena modelada, se veía a la derecha y a la izquierda se veía la caja con el lente que ellos construyeron digitalmente para simular la cámara oscura. Después empezaron a agregar más complejidad que tenía que ver con la rotación de la imagen, con la apertura, con el foco. Y dice que todos los efectos que genera una cámara oscura en la vida real, ellos los reciben de parte del render automáticamente porque está realmente construida la cámara digital del mismo modo que la cámara real, digamos.
Another render of this camera obscura with the project I showed you just before, with all here the distortion of the lens and yeah, while looking at this image, the first time I saw them was really quite surprising and quite exciting because you almost get things you don't usually get in render, like some smaller, it's almost like some small mistake, and that's really the things I'm looking for doing that. You see some chromatic aberration, some optical distortion. And another render of a rock there. And also, I also try to put some dust or some, what do you say, some, the lens was a bit damaged, so I put some stuff on the lens, so you start to see glaring effect on the white, on the bright spot, things like this. So I have some other example.
Sí, acá le siguieron trabajando con la distorsión del lente y habla de que fueron imágenes muy sorpresivas e estimulantes porque tiene que ver con supuestos errores, como alteraciones cromáticas, distorsiones. Ellos después empezaron a agregar detalles en el brillo, pero dice que son imágenes muy estimulantes para ellos.
So I've tried it on the project there, just very last image I did with this project, and yes, and what was the aim of that? I don't know. Just to explore. That's really what I'm doing. I'm exploring the field. That's what I like. So thank you for listening to all that. I don't know if you have questions on something on presentation.
I have a question about the relationship with the architectural studio in this process that you mentioned about this phase of the developing the constructive develop that you do in the model that upgrading the information you receive and which is this relation with the author, studio, architect, and in one hand, and in another hand, if you have some, or in some case, you only take this final phase of 2 weeks to develop the final image of you work along the process with the studio.
Yes. Yeah. For example, usually for competition, we arrive at the end of the process of the design. So we are not really at the beginning of designing. So we are there at the end, and I see the difference between architect. There is, for example, there is some architects that don't need to make any 3D model, or they will, and some are waiting for our image to take some decision, to take some design decision. So that's depends the way it's presented, but that could be a problem within the work. But if it's really once I start with Bokunz, I remember we start the project much more early than usual, and it was clear that was really a conceptual research also. So this is really clear. That's a difference. But sometimes they are expecting from the image an answer for the design. That's not. I don't think that's the good way to do it, because we are. I don't think that's the way to do the job. But usually, yeah, we arrive at the end, so it's more like final. Could be materials or details, but the project is it's already there. So it's not like we are designing with them the project. It's really at the end.
Ignacio preguntaba dos cosas en relación a cómo trabajan con los clientes. Por un lado, respecto a esto de que muchas veces los clientes simplemente les proveen dibujos 2D, cortes, plantas, vistas, y no tienen modelo 3D, y ellos tienen que tomar decisiones o desarrollar más el proyecto, y en qué momento del proceso de diseño ellos aparecen, respecto de que Olivier mencionaba que ellos trabajan 2 semanas más o menos en las imágenes. Y la respuesta tenía que ver con que muchas veces los clientes esperan las imágenes de Artefactorylab para tomar más decisiones, o que esas imágenes avancen en el proceso y tomen algunas decisiones por ellos, y que igualmente ellos llegan sobre el final del proceso, que los edificios ya oran en la elección de materiales y detalles, digamos, que tienen ellos que resolver.
Hay unas preguntas no sé si querés
en el chat.
formularlas o sintetizarlas.
La de Milagros y la de Cristian, ¿no?
Sí.
Well, Milagros is asking, she says that it finds very interesting that you work with algorithms to capture and select some images, and that you mentioned at one point that was a way you developed so you don't lose any possibility on the capturing of the framing. She's asking how you develop this way of working, that it seems a very efficient way, because the computer is sort of doing part of the job for you, and she says that it's not also the only methodology that you mentioned, that you also use the human eye and the human selection methods of work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like every. What I said at one point, like every project is a new opportunity to explore. So, I mean, this 911 camera was an idea I got when I saw the project, and something that comes like this, and it's not something you can use every time, but it's yeah, it's really about exploring, and sometimes, yeah, with some more traditional project, let's say you want to have a different approach, and you want to have a more traditional approach. When you go on the let's say you need to make the photography, you can do it. You go on the site. You want this time to get more sense of the site. So it's really evolving between projects. So it's not just about intuition, and it's really about exploring fields and testing every time a new way. But at the end, we construct yeah, a methodology which is almost always the same now with the Google Capture, which is quite a good help for us, because it's really basically bringing the part of reality in the computer, and then we can walk around and really work as a photographer around the site. You can of course insert the project in the Google Capture in the software. So it's really you can also add the simulation of light, of actual sun position. So that's mainly what we are using now for every project. Every time there is a capture we can use, we do it. It's really, but sometimes when it's not existing, when you have a bit more time, then you start to experiment.
Great. Bueno, Olivia está diciendo que en realidad tiene que ver un poco con elegir una metodología o la otra, o que hay momentos para una metodología y para la otra. Tiene que ver con la intuición, tiene que ver con explorar, que a veces hay proyectos o ellos están en un momento en el que se permiten explorar más métodos no tradicionales, y que otras veces tiene que ver con un approach totalmente tradicional, que visitar el sitio y sacar fotos les da también otras herramientas y otra percepción del tipo de imagen que van a tener que generar, que depende de los proyectos, y que contar con fotografías reales que ellos puedan incorporar dentro del software, dentro del modelo, son como valores a veces difíciles de reemplazar, que les ofrecen mucho realismo, cuestiones de luz, de la posición del sol y demás. Then there is one more question from Christian. He's saying that you work with digital tools, but that you're actually trying to get projects and images that are very grown into reality, that look very realistic. And so he's asking, I think this is related to the camera score experiment probably that you were just mentioning. He's asking if there was any time that you were actually looking for a different style, that it's only possible in the digital world, and if that is an incentive to actually want to create a digital world. Does that make sense?
No, I don't know. I don't really get what's the...
He's basically asking that you work with digital tools, and that for your clients, you're always trying to get images as realistic as possible. Yeah. But in this way, he's asking if you're sort of tempted to create a digital style that could be only developed in the digital world, like sort of a metaverse thing, I would say. So it's a digital aesthetic, a digital world that it's not directly related to physical reality.
No, I think I'm really inspired by architectural photography and photography. So it's really I want to stick. I mean, I want to orbit around that. And use probably the computer, some tools that you can use around that to explore things. But I think I want to stay around this field and work on the ambiguity of the photography, and probably push a bit more much more the detail and the materiality of the architecture, things that you don't have time during competition. So it's really about exploring the surface of the photography, and I don't think I want to create. Yeah, it's not really that. It's really yeah, within this field, trying to really explore and really go at the frontier. It's really about that.
Yeah. Bueno, Olivier está respondiendo que en realidad no, que ellos están inspirados en la fotografía de arquitectura, en la fotografía real, y que su desafío es llevar las imágenes digitales lo más cercanas a ese tipo de imágenes, a la fotografía pura. Entonces que no, que en realidad no tiene que ver su búsqueda con crear estéticas o situaciones que sean solo posibles en lo digital, sino acercar lo digital lo más posible a la realidad física y a cómo funciona la fotografía. I think we have one more question.
No, just about, yeah, just I'm thinking also about something is, you know, one day I thought like probably my dream computer would be like something where you can directly work with light, because like now we are rendering light. It's not like, but light exists, and I just wondering if one day you can directly like work with the existing light. I don't know if it makes sense, but just some kind of feature or computer, I don't know. But you see, I really, I mean, this is really for me an opportunity to really explore, and probably in film, architecture film. That's also, there is a lot of things to do there. Doing a few stuff in film, but there is a lot of experiment to do with the camera, with all the, yeah, there is a lot to do, much more than images, and especially with architecture, there's really a lot to do there.
Sí, dice que se quedó pensando en la pregunta de recién y dice que, por ejemplo, le gustaría, en lugar de renderizar la luz, que es lo que están haciendo ahora, trabajar con la luz real dentro de los softwares, que eso sí sería algo que lo dice a modo de exploración, se lo estoy imaginando ahora, pero que sería algo que le gustaría poder hacer, pero siempre tratando en realidad de acercar la imagen final lo más posible a la realidad, no por crear algo que en realidad no pertenece a la realidad. Then there is one more question regarding if the proposals of the projects, if they are born from the solutions that the digital tools offer, or the possibilities that the digital tools offer, or if there is also a search for social and cultural situations, and to develop the image more from a conceptual, let's say, point of view, and not only regarding the digital tools.
What you mean exactly?
I think they're asking like if you also aim to show a specific social situation, social background, cultural background in your images, or if it's purely aesthetic, what you try to convey based on the digital tools that you have.
Yeah, I don't think we are that far. I mean, it's no, we. I mean, first the work is for us to represent the building we have to do. So it's not, yeah. I mean, we are not in this field. I think it's more about trying to give the most natural and evident render of the building. I mean, this part is probably a bit to the left for the architecture and its design. I don't think, but yeah, I don't think it's
yeah,
not that an issue.
Sí, dice que no, que ellos se enfocan en la representación del edificio puntualmente, en la arquitectura, y que el resto de las situaciones en realidad dependen del diseño y de lo que pida el estudio de arquitectura, pero que ellos se enfocan en la representación de la imagen arquitectónica.
You deeply describe the scientific process of the rendering gems, but what is the the artist part of your work, no? What is the visual, this visual construction that is not random finally, and you determine every detail, no? That is not produced by itself for the computer, no? What is the
yeah, it's what I say is like
do things.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's yeah, of course, like computer doesn't work for us, and we are just waiting for the image, but it's just the I think it's all the inspiration. Like I'm looking a lot of I get a lot of inspiration from photographers, so it's just and probably that's now I realize that I'm looking that much of photography of architecture. For I was talking about Maxime Devaux, that sometimes I almost go too much, not copy style, but just yeah, it's too much looking like. So that's maybe an issue. But I mean, for every project, yeah, we have some aesthetic in mind, some framing and composition. We of course, it's not the computer deciding everything. We give you the decision. We give a decision on such a light, on such a frame, and it's usually a discussion with the architect. It's not. It's all a lot about discussion with the architect and what they want and what we see for the project. And but yeah, it's always a discussion with them. Yeah, if you choose for certain framing, yeah, it's because you want to see something specific of the project, the transparency or something. So that's something you're going to look for. Yeah, so it's, I mean, this random stuff, it's, I mean, I see it more as help on some project to get some surprise and accident you don't get. That's what I'm looking for, like really this accident. You, like, for example, when you do real photography, you go on site, you will have element that you didn't expect, and this is what I'm looking for with this random stuff, because you build the scene, you know everything which is inside, so there is no surprise, and this is what I'm looking for, and combining it with traditional way of designing an image as a could be as a photographer or composition. So I'm combining both, let's say. But yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from this photographer I tell you. So I have this in mind. That's the style I'm the most comfortable in, and I try to push this and see how far we can go.
Ignacio preguntaba como cuál es la aproximación artística que ellos tienen con respecto a las imágenes, más allá de las composiciones digitales, ya que Olivier explicó muy bien las cuestiones técnicas de su trabajo también. Y la respuesta tiene que ver con que en realidad es algo que se trabaja en forma muy cercana con el arquitecto, con el estudio de arquitectura, según qué tipo de imagen y qué tipo de narrativa quieren mostrar con sus imágenes, que a veces tiene que ver con el efecto sorpresa o con algún tipo de drama o algo que ellos quieran mostrar. Y dicen que en realidad ellos, la inspiración máxima de ellos es la fotografía, que por eso para ellos es también muy importante en la medida de lo posible ir a ver al sitio y percibir cosas del sitio, de la geografía del lugar donde se desarrolla el proyecto, que ellos después puedan recuperar en forma digital y construir la composición a partir de ahí. Ignacio, no sé si tenemos más preguntas.
No, thank you very much, Olivier. Thank you for show us your backstage, open your backstage to us and show your way of work. It was very interesting for us hear you. Y gracias a Agustina por la traducción. Thank you, Agustina, for the translation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you also, Agustina, for the translation. Yes. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you for showing the right images at the right time of my translation. Thank you so much, Olivier. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Super valuable.
It was a pleasure.
Okay. Yes, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
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 Merci. Merci. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too.